It is a crazy day. Israel has attacked Iran's nuclear sites from inside Iran. Netanyahu claims it was necessary to curb an imminent threat of Iran getting nuclear weapons. Boy, are people going to argue that one. Several high-ranking military leaders were killed. Multiple nuclear scientists were killed as well. Iran tried, it seems, to launch drones in retaliation, but those seem to have been swatted down by Israel. So this is a breaking news situation.
Last night, Israel just launched Operation Rising Lion, the first time they're sending missile strikes directly on the nuclear sites of Iran. This claim is that they have enriched their uranium to the point where in just a couple months, they might be able to create nuclear warheads, which is why they wanted to do this preemptive attack. Now, I know your position on preemptive attacks. Do you feel like this is, past the pale for you? Or again, this kind of escalation is kind of what's normal?
The question that's going to be debated in the media is going to be somewhat unhinged because none of us know what the intel actually says. So answering this as a thought exercise is going to be way more potent. Israel has way more information than we have. Iran obviously knows exactly what's going on. Trump probably has a ton of information. They're going to give us some of that information in the coming hours and days, but we're not going to have the full picture. So to respond based on what we know now, yeah, this could just as easily be us going into Iraq and being like, hey, weapons of mass destruction, we're gonna just start fucking killing everybody. Oh, and P.S. while we're here, we'll just take a bit of that oil. I do not have enough information to know if this is justified or not. So now running it as a thought exercise, if Iran is still, indeterminate in terms of when they're gonna be able to actually produce weapons grade uranium, and this is, years off in the future, then this is a political move almost certainly by Netanyahu, who obviously is in deep political trouble, sees an opportunity to get the West back on his side. I think the West has flipped hard on Israel over the course of this. Now, politically, still seems to have a ton of backing from the Trump administration. But in terms of the average person on the street, I think that they are rapidly losing that. And so if they can convince the world this was an imminent threat, these guys were really about to do us super dirty. If my understanding of the way Israelis are mapping this situation, it goes something like this. Iran has always been the issue. We always thought we were going to go after Iran first and then deal with the other pockets of Hezbollah, Hamas, and that was going to be down the road. Well, October 7th flipped that on its head. Now we're doing it in reverse order. And so first it was Hamas, Hezbollah, and now we're going after Iran. Now, is that just, once the train started, there was no stopping it. And from the moment we decided to go into Gaza, this was a nonstop train all the way to Iran. Great political maneuvering for Netanyahu, who seems to be increasingly unpopular. He becomes the thing that they all point at and say, all right, this guy's just a warmonger, sociopath, murderer, genocider. If war is the tool being used by him to stay in power, it's like, yeah, I get it. But again, I don't have the data, so I don't know if that's actually what's happening or if it's like, they really were about to enrich this. So despite the fact, it seems clear that Netanyahu and Trump were communicating. Right. Seems clear that Trump preferred a diplomatic solution, but he had been warning, according to him, warning Iran directly to their face, you've got an attack coming that you're not anticipating. It's worse than you expect. Pull up his tweet. It's in the doc.
I gave Iran a chance after a chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told, and that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, and with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They're all dead now, and it will only get worse.
The way he talks is so crazy.
It's so insane. But there has been this slaughter, or this great death, destruction, and there's still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there's nothing left and save what was known as Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction, just do it before it is too late. God bless you all. And that's his statement.
We are going to see if Iran was getting that message directly from Trump and they still pushed forward, That certainly says something. It is admittedly a little hard to believe that Iran was like, no, 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 we just want nuclear power. Like, come on, guys, like this is going to be fine. Because I know at one point they were being told, hey, we can get you uranium. You just can't enrich it yourself. You've got to be at the point where we're giving you the kind of uranium that, one, is enriched by somebody else who's already in nuclear power, two, the kind that you could only use in centrifuges, and then three, that way we could completely control how much you have, we know what it's being used for, et cetera, et cetera. Now listen, I get it, as a sovereign nation, you don't want anybody telling you what you can and can't do. But this is also why it's really bad PR to put out into the world that you want to destroy both America and Israel. That strikes me as, you're gonna get some kind of response. And so hearing Trump talk about it, I mean, after the attack, he's very measured, like shockingly measured. I want to see them do well. We would help them do well, but they just have to understand that they're not going to get a nuclear weapon. And so, again, I'm always being spun. I know that. Trump is spinning me, Netanyahu is spinning me, Iran is spinning me. So we're all sort of groping around in the dark trying to figure out what's actually happening. But if you've got a US president who's like, listen, we don't want to keep browbeating you with sanctions. I'm the crazy deal guy. Like, let's do a crazy deal. Like, let's get you in a position where you're not being sanctioned to death, that there's trade going on. Let's get cheaper energy going. Like, you could do a deal conceivably with Trump if what he's saying is true, and that you're like, I'm not even going to play that card. I want my fucking uranium enrichment program, and I'm willing to go to war over it. It's like, yeah.
Let's actually touch on that, because I think the communication and the back and forth and this potential psyops is what's causing a lot of this chaos. So I just saw something about 45 minutes ago. It says breaking from Axios. So the public perception campaign was intentional to make it seem like the US was totally opposed to any Israeli strike to Iran, to ultimately trick Iran into letting their guard down. So that's stunning if true. So supposedly these two Israeli officials have claimed that Trump and his aides were only pretending to oppose the Israeli attack in public, saying, don't do this, we're trying to keep the peace. But ultimately, that was just to lower the defenses so that they actually could get a successful attack.
It's possible,
if
man.
that actually is true, and I think that's where, if I was Iran, can I keep trusting Trump if I know his allegiance is actually to Israel? And he keeps saying he's going to make these deals.
There is no universe in which Iran trusts Trump. It would be utterly shocking if Trump trusted Iran. He's said publicly that I don't trust anybody. In international politics, that is very wise. You want to align your selfish desires. I think about this in business a lot. It's not about trust. It's about, are my selfish desires aligned with your selfish desires? Because when our selfish desires are aligned, we're going to pull in the same direction. This has been the fascinating collision between Trump and Elon. Hey, we get along great. This is amazing. Elon's even willing to show deference in public. It was like, whoa, like this guy is known for being hardcore, mercurial, like people do what I say. And publicly, he was very like, it's the president, clap for the president, standing next to the desk, like all of that. I know some people have had a little bit of beef with, like he wasn't showing enough deference, but I was very impressed. Then their desires became misaligned. And all of a sudden he's on the Epstein files, just wait, it's gonna come out. It's like dropping nukes left, right, and center. So that is the right way to think about people. There are no permanent alliances, only permanent, what interests? Yeah, I think you're right. So it's like, hey, if the US and Iranian interests align, a deal will get done. If they don't, they won't. I'm not currently mapping Trump as having secretly tried to get the Iranians to lower their guard. I could be wrong, and then I will update my mental map. But my mental map currently is he just really likes to do deals. He wants to get a trade agreement. Yeah, like, hey, I want to see these guys do well, probably naive about the difference in values. But these are people that are calling us the big Satan. And he's willing to go to people that chant death to America, that call us the big Satan, and be like, let's do some deals, bro. And I really think it's sincere. He is so economically minded that he's like, well, but if we can do a good deal for you, then of course, like there's something here.
So if you were in his position or even just had his ear and you're now seeing all of this unfold and you understand this thing of aligning these interests, what interests can we even see us being aligned with both Iran and Israel and making it work together?
Ooh, so in terms of where our long-term interests lie, our long-term interests right now with the Trump administration is very clearly Israel. Like Israel all down the way, up, down, left, right, B, A, select, start. Like if I'm honest though, I have not taken the time to map out why. So it's like at the surface, AIPAC, cool, ton of money into American politics, like it or not, boys and girls, like money makes politics move. It's become so naked and in our faces. It's fucking crazy, but it is nonetheless true. Elon obviously saying, so ungrateful that I spent all this money to get what I wanted and I'm not getting it. We're not even hiding it anymore, David. That is the thing that I'm like, Jesus.
You like that or?
It has an upside and it has a downside. So it can get normalized to the point where kids growing up now today, that just is how the world is. There's not even a sense of like, this is gross. It's just, this is just what it is.
This is the world.
Whereas when I was growing up, it was like so back channel and secretive. And it was like, did you know there's these thing called lobbyists? And you're like, lobbyists? And so that all felt scandalous. Like the mere presence of a lobbyist, at least to me as I started learning about it, felt scandalous. So I don't think that's going to feel scandalous to the next generation. It's just going to feel broken and like that's how it is. And it creates a sort of defeatist mentality of like, there's no way to push back. It's so deeply entrenched. Anyway, going back to what these allegiances are, I have a very strong mental map right now that the Jewish diaspora, they're not monolithic. That's one of the most important things to know about them, is that calling them a them is already a mistake. But the Jewish diaspora, some portion of it is they really want to help protect the nation of Israel. And so I think one of the most effective ways that they do that is by being extremely economically successful in the US, being able to leverage the economics within the system, to have their voices heard, to put political pressure. But they're also, I have a feeling, and I'm going to be doing more of a deep dive. This is going to be, I think, one of my, call it in the next 4 to 6 weeks, accelerated maybe by what's going on now, deep dives where like I need to understand what's going on. Like I have the world's most peripheral sense of especially the religious conflicts between Judaism and Islam. And so looking at that, I think is going to be very interesting. So anyway, to look at this and not understand the religious implications, I think would also be a mistake. So I think the US, very Christian, Jews obviously have a Judaic ethic. Those two are married when you think about Christianity as being sort of part one and part two. So the Old Testament is still very much a part of the New Testament. Like you both are taught in Catholicism. I don't know as much about Protestantism, but I'm going to guess there as well. You've got a religious affinity between the US and Israel that's going to be way stronger than between the US and Iran.
Islam is part of the Abrahamic, monotheistic religion, so they do have that tie. And again, if we were thinking like these religions actually share a lot of similarities compared to even more, disparate religions. So why do you think, again, it seems like there are some interests that could be aligned, but for you were saying, I just can't see it. This conflict is going to continue.
The value system, okay, so I'm planting a flag here in terms of the mental map I have now. For my long-term audience, they'll be used to this idea, but for anybody that's new, that's never heard me talk about things like this before, I state where I'm at. So one, I can understand how things evolve over time, but these are... It's a mental map, but my mental map looks like this. There is a break between Christians and people of an Islamic faith around one very simple idea. They both believe their prophet has the correct word of God. And once you believe that your prophet has the correct word of God, then it becomes, well, what does your prophet say to do? If your prophet says to do the exact same things that my prophet says to do, oh, okay, cool, we're good. And over time, they would have found some way to be like, God spoke through both of them because they're saying the same thing. But when you understand how minor the differences are between Catholics and Protestants, and it led to the most vicious and violent, almost like 150 years of war, it's insane. So Martin Luther writes, I think 92 or 95 theses. He puts them out. It kicks off 100 years of religious wars between Catholics and Protestants that people were still dying from. This was like back in he wrote them in like 1517 or something, and then the wars rage into the 1600s, and then you have the 30 Years' War, which kills like 20% of European population. I mean, it's just absolutely bananas, dude, the number of people that die over this. And that's like minor. So now you've got one religion that's like, our prophet is the final prophet. Right. And so, yeah, he gets that your prophet existed, but your prophet was just like an early dude saying some minorly interesting things. But this is the final word of God. And so you all need to convert. So now the big thing okay, but Jews don't believe in it. So where's the problem? Why is there able to be a connection? I think early mental map, my gut instinct is because the Jewish faith does not proselytize. They do not seek to convert people. But Christians and Muslims do. So now you have two proselytizing religions that both think they have the final word of God, and bam, they're smashing. You also have democracy. So we look at Israel and we go, oh, I recognize those values. I recognize that kind of governmental structure. We look at certainly Iran post the 1979 revolution. We're like, I don't recognize it. I don't recognize it visually. Because they used to look American. It could have been like you see one of their universities, could have been a picture taken at Stanford in 1978, right? But boy, after that revolution, it becomes very different. So you've got a theocracy, and in the other camp, you have a democracy. And so there's just enough of that. And then you pour the money on the fire, and all of a sudden you get, okay, there's a much tighter relationship between the US and Israel for all the reasons mentioned.
So again, as maybe just a selfish American, I want to now know, I understand now there's this religious, through line that's causing a lot of this conflict you just noted in history that has led to hundreds of years of war. This might be, again, it's already been going on for decades in the Middle East, and it might continue to go. I'm trying to wonder, is this gonna escalate? And if so, should the US, or why should the US even care to get involved at all?
Is this going to escalate? 2 hours ago, I would have said, obviously. Iran is like, bro, we're going to fucking smash you. They have a ballistic missile program that is not to be trifled with, but their immediate response was to send a bunch of drones. And as far as I can tell, again, it's early, maybe more happened, maybe I'm stuck in propaganda and don't realize it, but it seems like Israel was like, nope, we anticipated that, and they just wiped them out. And the part that I don't have enough information on, but is the intriguing part to me, is that Israel launched these attacks from inside of Iran. Right. These were not launched from Israel.
I think it was both, right? They sent missiles and also had their drones attack from within.
Makes sense. Yep. But the part that is of extreme note, how long would it take to plan that attack to, was this like what Ukraine did, where you send it in trucks, or do they have actual facilities that they've built out there? Now, hey, psychological warfare is a huge part of the game. So what I'm about to say, again, could be propaganda, misinformation intentionally, but they're saying we already have the next attack lined up. What they're trying to get Iran to believe is if you don't just take your slap, more is coming.